Hello and welcome to our session. I see Dave, Nancy, Heather, Shaylin are all here. Thanks for joining this session today about the communication paradox. Today is February 3rd, and for those virtual attendees watching at a later time, remember that you're watching a recording and won't be able to participate the same as our live audience. So as we get started, please remove all distractions, silence your phone, close your email, and let's spend some quality time together. Can everybody hear me satisfactorily? Do you see a picture of a shushing finger? Give me a green check. Oh, that's just super. Thank you, thank you. So some learning objectives for this session. We want to define what the heck is a communication paradox, analyze advances in technology for education, and integrate community of inquiry presences while leveraging advances in technology. To get started, let's take a moment and think about the others in attendance here. We know each other's names. I'm Jeff, and Dave, Nancy, Heather, Shaylin, but what else do we know? So use the text tools to write on the whiteboard and say a few words about another person, maybe their employer, their job title, hobbies, interests, something. And we'll do the list in order as it appears in the attendance list. Do the person below you. David, write about Nancy. Nancy, write about Heather. Shaylin, write about, well, wrap around to Dave. Let's take a minute and type that in. Okay. All right. Oh, this is great. This is great, everybody. Yeah, I know Dave has something to do with the base. He might have told me once, but I don't understand all their hierarchy and structure. Nancy, I'm afraid I don't really know anything about. I think you're kind of new to the sequence with others here. Same with Shaylin. Heather, we've done this before, and you're a teacher somewhere, but gosh, I don't really know. And so, what do we think about? What do we think about that? And that kind of gets to this communication paradox. Our world is highly connected. We have advanced networks and devices, but we often can feel alone and isolated. Online classes are liberating because they can break down barriers of time and space, but at the same time, they can also feel confining and restricting because we are denied the usual cues in face-to-face human interaction. I mean, look at the fellow in this picture. Use your little emoticon symbols to indicate how you feel about this guy. Yeah, he looks just terrible. He's got some high tech in front of him, but he's sitting around with the plumbing. This is the communication paradox. We post and read social media, we share pictures and text, but increased communication doesn't always yield increased connections. Too often we try to put our best foot forward, showing ourselves to be strong and in control. We don't want to appear weak and certainly don't want to share our troubles with the world. Often we don't want to offend, so we don't share strong opinions. And similarly, we don't read strong opinions. Do you guys remember Lake Wobegon? It was the fictional setting of a long-running radio series, and one of its highlights was that all the children were above average, right? So too are we online. Everything is perfect, right? Yeah. Let's see if we can break down some of those barriers. Author and educator Randy Garrison discusses a community of inquiry framework to increase the quality of e-learning experiences. And we've discussed this framework previously, but to quickly recap, these three presences, social, cognitive, and teaching, are all necessary. E-learning requires more than just direct instruction using computers. You agree? Use the emoticons to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Oh, all right. Hey. Garrison also says that using a technology for mere interaction is insufficient. The vision and design of the learning experience releases its potential. And he cites Web 2.0, social media, mobile learning, massive open online courses, sometimes called MOOCs, as learning technologies that have had varying degrees of success because of how they have been implemented. And this is difficult for techies like me. I like all the latest gadgetry and it's fun to play around with, but that's not why we're here. Any technology is in itself not enough. So let's fast forward to the future. I want us to imagine a world where our networks and devices are much more powerful than they are today. And this will happen as technology continues and continues. So here's a quick anecdote. It wasn't that long ago, I think maybe a decade. I remember my wife nagging me about sending a text message from my phone. That cost us 25 cents, she explained. Can you believe it? Paying for a text message and $0.25 per? Nowadays, we all seem to have unlimited talk and text. That phone, in fact, was a flip phone. Do you remember those? I had to type in my text message using the numeric keypad. Today, all of our phones have colorful displays and QWERTY keyboards. This Blackboard Collaborate system is a fine tool, but there's still glitches. Participants drop out. We have to run this audio setup wizard. I'm conducting this session using a rural DSL internet connection over the phone lines. I get strange buffering and cutouts. So let's imagine a world where network speeds are faster. You don't have to worry about how many gigs of data you're consuming, whether you're in the woods or in the suburbs on a cruise ship. Your phone or your tablet or your laptop is more reliable. It's unicorns and rainbows, just like the picture. Are you imagining? Give me a green check. Virtual listeners, nod your heads in agreement. All right, thank you, virtual listeners. And that's the premise for this group activity. How could you structure a learning experience leveraging ubiquitous and essentially free networking with robust and capable devices? Whether you're doing accounting or biology or calculus, undoubtedly any domain can benefit, but how? For example, virtual reality, augmented reality, these are hot buzzwords. Eventually they'll find their way into the classroom, I'm sure, but how might you use them? Or the new iPhone has facial recognition features. How might you use those? Or maybe there's some other particular technology that fascinates you. So go to your breakout room, which is in fact a coffee shop, and let's all use coffee shop number 1. And I'm going to set the timer for 4 minutes. Use whatever whiteboard tools in whatever capacity you think is helpful. Nominate a representative to report back to the group. All right, are you ready? 4 minutes, and go. Hey, welcome back. So whom did you nominate as your representative? Raise your hand. Okay. Nancy, what did you discover? And let's be sure to keep it brief, please. Hey, Nancy, is it working?
Sorry, my fault. Virtual reality, and then have everyone get together and quote-unquote meet at the same quote-unquote location, so that way they can see each other and interact with each other. You could also go ahead and create avatars and have the avatars show up in whatever local meeting group, so once again, too, that still builds connectivity. For those who cannot attend, asynchronous sharing of data, text, and chat. And as Shailene brought up, it would be wonderful if we had like Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere. So that way if you are out camping or cruising or unable to kind of like physically attend, you can still attend the class and be there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure we will get there. But yeah, unfortunately not quite today. Yeah, those are some nice pictures you guys included there. This is good. Those are good thoughts. I realize it was a short time and you could explore this for, for a lifetime. But I think that's good for now. So let's resume. Okay, and speaking of ways to collaborate at this point, we'll consolidate these takeaways into a shareable document. We'll use this service from Google, but there's plenty of other systems and vendors that are available. It was my intent to show the application share feature of Blackboard Collaborate, and whenever I initiate that, the whole Blackboard application just crashes on my computer with no error message, no indication of any problem, just poof, it disappears. So then I tried it on a different computer, and the application sharing worked, but it wouldn't recognize my headset, so I couldn't do any sound. And this is unfortunately the nature of technology, isn't it? It just kind of goes wrong for us, and we might take that into account as we design our classes. So I am going to have to punt on that and take my lumps when it comes time for the gradebook. So instead, let's talk about an existing document for collaboration. And let me put it in the group chat also for the virtual listeners to come back later. And here is the document into which we can enter information. And as you enter your information, then hopefully it'll all show up if the system's working. All right, this is great. You guys are typing in lots of good stuff, and you can see sometimes that it gets a little pokey with all of us entering at the same time, but it works. And virtual listeners, if you follow that link at a later date, you'll see whatever it is that we typed in during our session here today. So let's go ahead and, all right. Let's go ahead and go back to our whiteboard here. And the future will arrive. You know, it's difficult enough to use today's technology to its fullest potential, but that doesn't excuse us from thinking about the future. Check out this cool space station picture. Do you think e-learning can be successful in this environment? You know, we ourselves might not live long enough to find out, but on the other hand, we in fact just might. The future will get here, but we don't know exactly when. But no matter where the technology takes us, educators should remember that we're all humans, and this community of inquiry framework can help keep us on track. And that's it for our session. You have any questions or comments that you'd like to share? Anyone? All right, looks like, oh, okay. Don't they communicate with students via the space station? I do not know. I don't know. I think there is actually some kind of internet capability up there. Surely it's way limited, but yeah, would that count as e-learning? Perhaps. We'll have to check that out. All right. Well,
Sorry, it's actually quicker if I just speak. They actually have programs where they interact with like middle school, junior, where they'll send like a project or something up into space, and so they'll report back to the kids about how the project is going or how things are growing, etc. So I was curious, does that count as e-learning because they are using technology to learn?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, what is? I think that's kind of the point of this Garrison book, is to kind of quantify what it is and how we can use it. So yes, good question without a good answer. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah. I'll have to check it out when we're finished. But that's it for our session here. I have an email address shown on the screen. If you think of something you want to mention later on, then feel free to reach out to me. And I look forward to hearing from you. And thank you for joining this session today, and thank you for virtual listeners for joining whenever you did. I hope our paths cross again soon. Thanks, and goodbye.